What's up, everybody? It's Emorja. We're going to be kicking off something a little new today. Mr. Julian Bass has been one of the social media, I guess, highlights for quite some time. By you being able to use what we are afforded with using resources, technology. But the good thing about that is that when I saw it was posted in this group that we have on Facebook called Black Alumni Notre Dame, his mama, she had posted. I was like, "Who is this guy?" So I was just looking through. I said, "You know what?" I said, "I like this." Cause I'm already shy with doing a lot of stuff. So I said, if this guy can do it, I said I can too. Now I ain't no superhero. I ain't got no chairs that are 7 feet tall, but I can at least say that I use my resource. So we're going to just jump into it. We won't be here long because the verdict is about to come out. We want to make sure that we catch that. But listen, so Julian, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So before we get to the parentals, how has life been for you out there in LA? You're in LA, right?
I'm actually in San Jose.
San Jose.
LA is insane. So probably not like the best place to be. But it's great here. Like just in California in general. I know that, we're probably handling the virus better than anybody in the country. So, but other than like that, it's just the normal things. It's just amazing. Like just to be here and just like sort of, like I don't want to say like start my life, but it's sort of like starting my life, away from my family and everything, and just sort of getting into the motions of things. It's crazy so early. Like I'm 20 years old, and it's just like it just happens, and everything just moves.
That's so wild. And are you the only child? Or you got some siblings?
I got a younger brother, one younger brother.
Okay, so is he into technology as much as you are?
Well, you could say that actually, but just he's more of an engineering side of things. So he's him and my dad. They both have motorcycles. He loves like cars, motorcycles, and all that stuff. And like sort of the the nitty gritty of hardware, and I'm more of like the software guy.
Okay.
So if you had to put us next to each other, it's hardware and software, and there's Justice and Julian.
I love it.
But yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. So, how did the Julian journey begin, man? But explain this whole thing, how everything just happened.
Yeah. I started a long time ago when I was 11. Okay. So I guess, but I know like a lot of my parents who are on this right now are just like, a long time ago. What are you talking about? 11 years old. That's half your life. But I started when I was 11, and I would just like love superheroes. I love the X-Men. I loved the Avengers. I loved all these DC superheroes. I was watched all like the DC cartoons and like the Justice League shows. And my goal as like, when I was a kid was I wanted superpowers. So I would make these short videos, like have like lightning come from my hands or something. And I would show it to my friends and be like, yo, check it out. I have lightning coming from my hands.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, how did you do that? I'm like, I saw this real lightning and there's no like tricks, So I would make these videos and just try to be a superhero. Like that's all I wanted to do. And in sort of doing that, I sort of learned visual effects more and more as like I wanted to do more things. I wanted to fly. I wanted to teleport. I wanted to do all these things, and just like was subconsciously learning all of the techniques of visual effects that I needed to know.
Yeah.
And so that sort of, it became like a real, like sort of like a career path sort of idea when I started doing like film fests, competitions and things like that, like video contests, and was just running the table with them.
Yeah.
And it didn't like click to me that I was like, oh, I have this like skill that like almost nobody at my age has right now.
Yeah.
With this sort of proficiency in VFX. And I'd say like I reached sort of that, or was approaching that threshold really, really early. And it sort of like put me ahead of the curve and sort of allowed me to make a lot of decisions that I would have made later on. Like if I had started my career, or just decided to do it in college, It made me, start thinking about things much earlier. And then the pandemic changed the world. And at the same time as the pandemic changed the world, TikTok changed the world.
Yeah.
And how we view things, and just everything just got jumbled up. And so all the things I was learning about, like going to, ready to go to college and stuff, that people were telling me about the film industry, and you got to do this, this, and this, and these are like the hoops you got to jump through, out the window. Nobody's in writers' rooms. Yeah. Nobody's even filming anything right now.
Exactly.
What do you do as a creator who's trying to break in? right? If everything's halted, and the only thing that I knew to do since the day I was 11 years old and starting this for the first time was to just create what I wanted to do, be a superhero, and it just took off. Like I could tell you what I did, but I can't tell you how it happened. I made a tweet and the world saw it, and I didn't
literally.
I couldn't fathom it. It doesn't make sense to me, but it was like the perfect storm, like everybody was inside, there wasn't like a bunch of media saturation. It was like, we're all stuck inside in the pandemic. Check out this cool thing that this kid made, and, that's like the best way to summarize this journey. It's like, just been creating, just doing the things that I sort of wanted to do. TikTok became that platform for me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
No, that's cool, man. And so, Mom, I'm gonna ask you real quick, because moms always have this thing. Like my mom showed us, said, "Baby, I knew whenever you were in my womb that you were going to be something someday." How, from the time that he was young to where he is now, did you have any idea like how big he would be? And of course, I'll just get the mom response.
The answer is yes, but I didn't know it was going to go this way. So, so when Julian was really, really young, I mean, maybe from the time he could talk, I would drive him to the babysitter. Julian sang all the time, right? He's in the car seat behind me, singing the tunes songs, right? Almost like perfect pitch, right? To singing. He would sing the words of the signs we would see as we're driving. In fact, we have a video of him when he was 3 years old singing "Do My Ears Hang Low" for his 3-year-old pre-K class. I also remember one time bringing him to school. So I'm an educator, and I brought him to our school function. And I don't know what happened, but we had this lull in a holiday program. And I just remember picking up Julian and putting him on the stage and like, sing Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
And do you remember that, Jules?
Yes.
Feliz Navidad. You had to be maybe 5 years old at that point. In fact, 4 or 5 years old, and you sing Feliz Navidad, right? And so Julian had always had this, I think, fervor for entertaining, right? He was always the kid that he got in trouble in 2nd grade for constantly singing and tapping while doing his work. His teacher kind of like removed him into the corner of a room.
I have a letter from my teacher from like 2nd grade as well too.
Hey, and the creatives typically get punished, right, for disrupting a class when they can't sit still or can't stop singing or can't stop tapping. You hear the wonderful stories later on about how somebody saw a talent in that person and sort of lifted that from being a deficit or a nuisance. So yeah, I would say we always saw Julian as an artist in some form or fashion. We just didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Just kind of openly, we as parents, we kind of just opened the door to what do you want to explore?
Yeah.
And never sort of locked him in. The one thing we were like, in certain sports, we were like, not on my football, but you can go try out for theater. You can go ahead and do archery, right? You did archery, you play basketball, you wanted to run track, and we were like, not that fast. His brother's faster. And
I said, wait
a minute.
But his special effects can allow him to run as fast as he wants. Right?
That's
but
right.
And there was everything that he wanted to do, right, Jay? I mean, I want to try that. Here we go. All right, fine. Karate, jujitsu, whatever. We're going to do that. So until he kind of just narrowed in on, and then we started to see where he was moving. And it became these film special effects. He does great impersonations, voiceovers. He sings well. Like, you haven't seen that talent yet. But it's
don't worry, I'll
like,
leave before the interview's over.
Emorja. Well, he was in musical theater at school. So he started to narrow a little bit of that focus, but at the same time, he's I guess multifaceted and that he can do a number of different things. So we knew, we just didn't know where it would go.
Yeah,
And we still don't know, right?
That's true, dude. You are doing so much at such a young age, like for real, and that's awesome. That's really awesome, and you're raising the bar. But let me ask you this though, because a lot of times people have they have the intention of doing great, and I'll say this before we go any further: everyone's level and definition of success is different. Some people's success could just be going to school to teach kids. Some could be working at a warehouse. But for what you consider your level of success, what do you think may be hindering some people your age? I'm gonna say our age. I'm still in the 20s. Some people our age who want to aspire to be something great. What do you think is stopping them? Is it not having the resources to technology? Is it, I don't know. What do you have an idea about?
Yeah, I think there's so yeah, I could break it I'll break it down like this. It's like there's a base of it, right, which will stunt everyone. And I think it's like, usually I answer this question when people are asking me directly for them. And I'll say, well, first, you like you prefaced this, you don't want to compare yourself to anybody else's level of success or what they deem it as. I personally don't even think I'm not at the end of my journey.
Not at all.
I have not made it according to my brain. There's still things I have to make, I have to do, and I have to accomplish that. Then I can be like, yeah, I did that. I can talk about what I've done, but I still have my eye on the prize. And so when someone says, Julian, I want to do exactly what I want to be like the VFX guy on TikTok, or I want to do make these videos like you. Those are two different questions. Somebody asking me how to make a video like me and somebody wanting to be in my position are two different questions, right? And the thing that's hindering the other people, the other side of it, that are asking, how to do what I do, that's where I think resources and things become an issue. Like my mom said, I'm the luckiest person alive because I am a creative who likes to do everything. And I had parents who were able to let me do everything,
Yes.
Right. So she was naming off all those things. And I was like, yeah. It was if Julian wanted to do this particular thing, they were like, yeah, sure, we'll pay for an archery class. Where did that come from? I think I watched one season of The Arrow on TV, and I was just like, all right, well, I gotta do it now. I was like, this is my life now. But the crazy thing. Oh, hey, Jenny. Sorry, my dog Jenny just ran. Yeah, all good. But the craziest thing is oh, watch your head, Isaac. You don't say. Yo, we gotta save that. We gotta save.
Don't worry about it because this is real life.
It's just CNN right now. CNN? Yeah. What are you doing?
Because I'm Julian, your second viral hit. Her face with your dad. So I'm.
What are you doing?
Julian is just
oh my goodness.
Apparently, Julian came from us, and we can't operate our cameras. I'm doing the mom-wife thing. The friend is just. This is a recording of death, I tell you.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh God, I can't.
Either way, as I was saying, those people don't have resources. That's one of the goals that sort of came out of when I first started on the rise, if you will. I was like, all right, I'm noticing that I was wrong about my my philosophies when I was a younger person. I was like, wow, I'm the best VFX artist because nobody wants to do what I do. I'm so weird and so quirky. And sweet. Yeah.
Dog with the squeak. Get him out of here. Close the door.
Okay. Believe it or not, the office does not have a door.
Oh really? Oh y'all listen.
It made getting that chair in a lot easier though. I'll tell you that.
I bet.
But I want to do that for people. There's computer labs and things when I was filming and stuff. I was like, I needed to go to the public library that had green screen and stuff. That's not in every place. And I remember 2019, I was doing Uber Eats and stuff, and I was able to do it around Atlanta, right? And that's just where I saw the most disparity in this kind of stuff. I know my mom as an educator sees it everywhere, sees it like in the very school district that she works in.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind to know that, like, you know, in one space, you can literally like walk into an area where they just do not have the same opportunities. It's like, why?
And what part of Atlanta is that you're in?
Well, so I was driving around like just the greater Atlanta area, as they call it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I noticed that like the West End was where like gentrification was really like starting to churn and everything. Yeah. And then there's, of course, you have Midtown and everything.
Yep. It's
just like the whole city and anytime I see like, anytime I see white people on like tandem bikes, I'm like, okay, come on. Like this is gentrification here. Right. This is gentrification there. It's like, oh, that's a coffee shop right there that used to be, you know, like a dance studio. Like all this stuff. It's a bit demoralizing, but I know now that I'm in a position where I can sort of change that. But yeah, that's a really rounded way to answer that question. But yeah, as far as advice goes, you know, don't try to be like me. Try to be who you want to be, and I'll do my best to help out with resources on later down the line.
No, I feel you know that's cool. And Daz, let me ask you. So I know that you're his manager. How has life been for you? I guess and him since that video went viral on social media.
It's been absolutely crazy.
I believe it.
It's been a fun journey because we've been learning. It's like we've been building in the air to a degree. The fortunate thing, however, is that you know, so when Julian started creating videos, you know, I would say award-winning videos, I saw it, you know, when he was 13 and he made that national, it was the Dream, Believe, and Inspire video that won a national competition when he was 13. So that was 2013 or so.
Okay.
And so when he was, you know, 14, I created a website and, you know, I put the infrastructure in place because I saw that he could do this for real, and he was really developing those skills that was going to take him to the next level. So, so when you know July 2nd hit, and you know that tweet went viral, everything was in place. In fact, the people, the agencies, the management companies, they couldn't believe that everything was already set up. we were really ready to go. But it's been great so far, and you know. He's handling it. He's maturing in the process, and so I'm doing my best to be patient.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel it. And you know, one thing about it is pretty interesting. And Julian, I'm glad you mentioned that this isn't something that you just did one day and it just happened. You've actually been doing this for a while. Because a lot of times, you know, with social media, people have this mentality to just strictly go viral overnight. But there's a lot of work that goes in behind that people really don't have. And I guess because our society is so used to having these quick successes, and sometimes those can also result in quick losses because there was no work ethic underneath that product. But with what you've been doing, so this is, like you said, since you've been 11, so about 9 years you've been doing this roughly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Man, that's awesome. So let's talk about these impersonations real quick. Give me your favorite impersonation of somebody. I want to hear this.
Oh, wow. Okay. He's like, yeah, you know, you're doing great. You've been doing this for 9 years. Anyways, so some impersonations now. Come on, give them. Okay. It's like really quick.
Call it for Clinton.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So I just did a video with yeah. So I'll just break it out like this. I'll do like a slew of them. When I first learned like to do like impressions and like started like trying, I watched SpongeBob all the time, so I was able to do a lot of SpongeBob impressions, right?
Okay.
So like I almost named the dog Gary so I could be like Gary, like SpongeBob, right? And then Squidward would be in the back like, would you shut that dog up? You know, there's Squidward.
I cannot.
The dog is expensive, so I would say that she's stealing all my monies, boyo.
Mr. Krabs.
There you go, Mr. Krabs. And then, of course, my favorite one to do is Eugene Krabs. Wait till I get my hands on that Krabby Patty formula. Yes.
And how long has he been doing this?
That's something that just happens. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to impress my friends. But I remember just doing all that. And then, like, when I did this show out of high school, I did like one show that like toured around Atlanta. And it was this like 2 musicals. And I was like it was like 2 actors. And so I had to play 11 different characters in like between these 2 shows.
Bruh.
And so one of them, it was like, this show called African Warrior Queen. So I was a griot and I was telling stories. It was like this cool Black History Month thing. It was an amazing show. But I was a griot who was telling stories about these African warrior queens. And so I would have to switch out, like go back behind the set, quick change and come out and then like be the character that is in the story.
Yeah. So
there was, I would be like, hello guys, how are you doing? I am Griot Amadou, and then I would go back and come out and be, I'm Frederick Hodgson here to, steal the land of the Africans and blah, blah, blah. Right. And so I would be doing all these accents. And so that's how I honed in a lot of like the impressions that I do now for like anyone really. Is learning those accents and learning the differences between like what do you think like the similarities between things is really what helps you learn the differences between others.
Yeah. And also like matching the vocal texture. Register, all of that really plays a strong part. So we're going to get to the singing real quick. So what you gonna sing?
Well, that's a good transition when you talked about vocal texture. I can go with that.
Okay.
One thing that have you seen One Night in Miami?
Yeah. Oh man, yes, I've seen that.
So Leslie Odom Jr., one of my favorite people.
Mine too.
Like just in general, right? And I was like, oh, he's playing Sam Cooke, who was like one of like my favorite, singers.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, I've heard Leslie Odom Jr. in Hamilton a million times, and I've like heard his voice so many times that I just like know what it sounds like. So I'll mash this up real quick. I'll do an impression of Leslie Odom Jr. singing.
Okay.
But when he sang Change Is Gonna Come, I expected it to sound like, I was born by the river. Like the way his like lips go out.
Exactly.
In a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since, right? But he nailed the rasp, nailed the vocal inflections of Sam Cooke, where it's like, I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running, right? Mm-hmm. Ever since. I don't have that perfect rasp, but he did it. You can hear it in his don't know much about history. Yeah. Don't know much biology. Man. So that's a good one, like when studying like how people sing. I remember it was Christmas time, and my parents remember this, when they were like, Julian, sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as John Legend.
Yeah.
I love John Legend. All right. Do him right.
You can tell John Legend used to sing at his church because of the way he sings.
Exactly.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows like a light bulb.
That's John Stevens, which I didn't know that Stevens was his last name until recently. I was like, John Stevens. I thought,
oh yeah.
I thought his last name was Legendary.
No. Man, that's awesome. Listen, all right. So, how can people? Of course, I know it's on here, but how can people follow you? Like with what you do, man?
Yeah, I'm the Julian Bass everywhere. Julia, and not like E as in King Julian from Madagascar. So the Julian Bass on all platforms. I was, believe it or not, was able to get Snapchat to change my tag, which is like impossible, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's where it is. Okay. That's where you can find me. Oh, and on YouTube, I'm Macro Bass. And you can find Jenny running around my house.
Let's see the dog. Where's the dog?
Yeah.
You want to see her?
Go see the dog.
I can't believe you have a pet. I'm trying to make sure you still take care of yourself. You take
I know
care.
that's right.
Look at Jenny.
Oh, it's a little like it's a
Almost like a Jack Russell. What kind is it?
She's like an Australian cattle dog mix. But we think she might be mixed with like a terrier a little bit.
almost like yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
She's
a puppy. She's like 10 weeks old.
Oh, she's little. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
she's doing good. She's peeing and pooping outside.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
That's half the battle.
Exactly.
Yep. I'm like, well, at least that part's cool. I can deal with her like barking and whining and running around.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Cool. We want to definitely make sure to get that out for everybody. And thank you everybody for chiming in. Mom and Dad, thank you so much. And Julian, hopefully one day I can meet you, man.
Sure thing.
All right.
We're getting our vaccines. Meeting is a thing now. We can do it now.
I know. And don't act like you don't know me either. I know a lot of people get, whenever you see somebody you don't want to see, you go down the other aisle in the store. I know, because I do it. So
I got you.
But thank you all so much. So we're going to wrap this thing. Thank y'all, everybody, for checking this out. Y'all have a good one.